I'd like to go into a little bit more into safety questions, safety of this nuclear energy program. Are you satisfied as of now, so far, with Myanmar making efforts dealing with international bodies, including with the IAEA, to make sure that there is enough safety mechanism, and there will be enough safety mechanism when it comes to nuclear energy or nuclear power technology?
We know that our Myanmar colleagues take this issue very seriously, and as they told us, there are certain steps ahead. First is the adoption of the legislation. Then there should be a body responsible for the nuclear safety, and then ratification of additional protocol inspections and cooperation with IAEA. So I think that this is a very good and solid plan, and we are ready also to cooperate with Myanmar in the area of nuclear safety and train personnel and explain. We have more than 50 years experience in this. Explain what are the main points, main difficulties in this area, and hopefully this good progress and the safety will be fully ensured. The new generation of nuclear power stations is different from the old ones, and by specialists are saying that they are very reliable, and in economic terms they are competitive, because long-term cost, the cost of construction could seem big, but the long-term operational expenses are modest. So in economic terms, this is competitive area.
Yeah. I'd like to ask about military relations between the two countries. Can you tell us about Russia's protective engagement with selling new and reconditioned military equipment to Myanmar's armed forces?
You see, this is an area which it is not common to comment publicly. But I must say that yes, we have good cooperation and with Myanmar, and I attended military parade last year, and was pleased to see Russian helicopters with Myanmar flag.
Yeah. The first time, no?
For the first time, yes. And MiG fighter jets. So this is absolutely normal. We continue our cooperation again in strict accordance with international regulations in this area, and the purpose is to enhance the capabilities and to modernize Myanmar army. So this is again quite natural, and we cooperate with very many countries, with Myanmar neighbors. So this is a very also important area of our cooperation, because among other things it also increases the technological capacity of Myanmar, because when you deal with sophisticated aircrafts or helicopters, people acquire specific skills and knowledge which they can use it in other areas as well.
How about training? Training, for example, training for the intelligence officers from Myanmar?
We have proposed cooperation in anti-terrorist training, and we have courses for ASEAN countries to train and to exchange, share experience and best practices in anti-terrorist activities. We also have a MOU of cooperation in anti-narcotics sphere, and our experts came to Myanmar last year and gave a course on investigation techniques in fighting fighting narcotics. So that sort of cooperation, I think, is mutually beneficial, and again, we cooperate with other ASEAN countries in this area as well.
And President Putin, we noticed that Russia has been more proactive in many of the international affairs. We saw that active involvement in the Middle East in recent months and years. What do you think? How does Russia fit today on the world stage?
Russia is the biggest country in the world, and it's a nuclear power and member of UN Security Council. So we feel the responsibility for protecting international security and peace. So it's quite natural that we are playing a very active role as global power. During last years, according to our viewpoint, international situation has deteriorated, and it's now pretty complicated. We see two trends. One is attempts from some countries to stop the trend for building more just, more equitable new world order, polycentric with many players which interact on equal footing. Some countries obviously want to keep their domination, and that was one of the reasons. And of course, the second trend, which is worrisome, is the growing instability in the Middle East. We believe that to some extent it was also provoked 3-4 years ago by outside interference. And the destabilization which followed led to the rise of terrorist activities, to the ISIL problem, and other problems which we are facing today. We also have complications in Europe, where as we also believe, outside interference destabilized Ukraine, which led to a chain of events which unfavorably influenced our cooperation with other countries. But in the long term, we are optimistic because, this trend for democratization of international relations and establishing a new, more just and more equitable arrangements, it is objective historical trend. So we have very good relations with many countries, and many countries think the same way as Russia. Now, for example, BRICS countries had a summit in Russia last year, where they expressed their strong view about the need to change world economic system and to change political arrangements so that all countries could participate in solving international issues or on equal footing, and we should progress through collective efforts and collective decisions. So we would continue, of course, our active engagement in Syria. Our aerospace forces take part in military operation on the request of the legitimate government of Syria, and my understanding is that Russian participation in anti-terrorist operation changed the situation on the ground to a large extent. But of course, terrorism cannot be defeated by airstrikes or by purely military operations. So we hope for a political solution in Syria on the basis of Geneva principles, and we know the discussions are taking place even today about the possible talks. We are strongly in favor of reaching political solution in Syria and undertaking reforms which would bring peace to this country.